VCY America presents Crosstalk, a nationwide call-in program discussing issues that have an effect on our families, our communities, our churches, our nation, and our world. Crosstalk, an opportunity for you to voice your concerns for biblical principles. And now live by satellite and around the world on the internet at vcyamerica.org. Here is today's Crosstalk.
Well, thank you, Mr. Morris, and glad to have you with us on Crosstalk today. I am holding in my hands something that is very, very interesting. It's a news release. It's from a publication called Free Malaysia Today. Interesting news. But here it says this: Canada asks how middle-class boys became jihadists. Shocked to learn that two of their own attacked a desert gas plant in Algeria, Canadians are struggling to understand how young men from a quiet middle-class neighborhood ended up as jihadists. It was announced by Algerian officials almost immediately after the day-long siege of the plant by the Algerian army in January that the pair were among the dead. One intelligence source said that they were Arabs with dual citizenship and were among the 29 Islamists killed in the bloodbath alongside 38 hostages. The big question: how did middle-class boys become jihadists? Well, we're going to talk about Islam today. The topic, if we put it in print, would be this: the dangers of Islam, Part 1. Tomorrow we're going to hit this subject too. But gentlemen, right across from me at the microphone is Usama Dakdok. He's the founder of Straight Way of Grace Ministry. He travels throughout the United States equipping Christians to be effective witnesses for Jesus Christ to their Muslim neighbors, as well as ministering to Muslims directly. Now, Usama was born in Egypt, the son of a Baptist preacher. He became a Christian at age 11. Usama learned about Islam in school. He also studied Islamic law in college. And with that, we say, welcome, Usama Dakdok.
Well, thank you, Brother Vic. It's my joy to be here with you. Thank you.
Usually every day, just after my program, Homespun Harmonies, there you are. And you always say, greetings, my friends.
Oh, greetings to you, too.
Well, we just spent a great weekend last weekend in South Dakota. And Usama, it was a real privilege to see the many people that drove from hundreds of miles away.
It literally makes us humble to see the people willing to drive hours to come to hear us. Yeah.
And the Corn Palace was a great place. The message was very clear that America needs to understand what are the dangers of Islam.
I believe, Brother Vic, if the Canadian who wrote this article asking the question have attended our meeting last Saturday, they will understand exactly the root of the problem. It is not the people. It's not this young man who come from a nice home or nice neighborhood. It is the cult of Islam. Muslims who commit this crime, they are victim of the teaching of Allah in the Quran and the teaching of Muhammad in the Hadith. And until the West read the Quran, understand the teaching of Muhammad in the Hadith, they will never come to an answer to such question.
And the conquest, the sword is, of course, the emblem, and the conquest that comes out of it with jihad, meaning holy war. Mm-hmm. I'm looking at another story here from WorldNet Daily News. Cell phone music sparks an attack by the mob. A mob of Muslims, apparently angered by Christian youths who were playing music on their phones from the back of a rickshaw taxi, responded by attacking residents of the mostly Christian Francis Colony section near the Pakistan city of Lahore. The incident started after the prayer leader of the suburb's largest mosque accused the teenagers of playing their music too loudly. A scuffle resulted, but the argument quickly erupted into an armed attack by a Muslim mob on the Christian homes of the Francis Colony. I mean, everywhere. Holy war, attack anything that is not Islamic.
Brother Vic, I lived in Egypt enough, and we have seen so many reasons why Muslims attack Christians in Egypt. You can get to this loud music and a cell phone, or you can get to just a symbol as a lie spread by Muslim and approved by Muslim to give them the right and the excuse to attack Christians. So it doesn't matter what excuse really they're going to choose to buy it, attack Christian. But the real reason is the teaching of Allah in the Quran. Allah commands them to lie, to attack, and to kill Christians and Jews and non-Muslim, any non-Muslim.
And conquest seems to be the tool that's used. Now, I can't forget the story about that little Christian girl who was carrying a shopping bag, and some charred remains of a page from a Quran were dumped into her bag, planted there, actually, by an Islamic accomplice. And then she was caught and then was sentenced to death.
Brother Vic, I can share with you a good 3,000, 4,000 story. I'm not exaggerating in my number.
Yeah.
Of all the attacks which have been launched against Christian Egypt. Just in my head, in my own city where I grew up, they accuse a Christian man of opening a studio in the third or the fourth floor of his father's building to have pornography, where in this apartment he will bring Muslim young girls to do pornography videos with Christian men. That was a crime. Because of this claim, because of this line, that's in Upper Egypt, which, anyway, because of this lie, we have at least, I believe, some 20-some Christian church has been burned. Many Christian business has been destroyed. And Muslim, when they did the attacks, they planned it very good to the point that they literally destroy all the tires and the fire trucks within 2 hours away from this place. So the blazes was burning in the city, it's called Armenia, for 2 hours before the first fire department truck come from the next faraway town. And in the end of the investigation, it was a lie by a young lady. When they took her to this building, she could not know, into the area, she could not know which house, because they're all the same height next to each other.
Yeah.
And then they took her to the gentleman who owned the building, and he asked her, if I show you the man who is doing this business, the pornography business, can you point him? She said, yes, I can. He said, I am the one you're talking to. She does not know who he is. And then she confessed, well, her cousin, the Brotherhood Jihadist, asked her to make up the story. But the amount of loss was millions of dollars in just one afternoon after Friday prayer. They came out of the mosque full of the spirit of rage and revenge, destroyed Christian homes, Christian churches, Christian businesses. And in the end of it, it was just a simple apology. We're sorry. It was a mistake. And that's how Muslims always attack Christian all over the Middle East.
Usama, The Guardian, a newspaper which covers many of these things. The Guardian, I believe, from the United Kingdom. Egyptian Christian funeral ends in violent clashes, kills one. Mourners at the funeral of 4 Christians killed on Saturday attacked as they leave the cathedral while police just stood by. Police and armed civilians have laid siege to the seat of the Coptic church in Cairo, killing one person, injuring at least 21, as a funeral for 4 Christians killed in a sectarian clash on Saturday descended into chaos. Thousands of mourners were attacked as they tried to leave Egypt's largest cathedral.
That's the reality. We cannot even mourn over our dead. We cannot have the goodbye to those who are killed by the Muslim. And it is just a reality of what's happening in Egypt. And this is just the beginning. We think that Egypt is going to get better. This is the beginning of the worst. The worst is yet to come. Christian last week, I don't know if you covered or not, were kidnapped to a mosque to be tortured, to be physically beaten by the Muslim. Now the mosque is practicing the final word of Allah to abuse Christian, not only to attack them in their places, but inside the mosque. This is supposed to be a place of worship for Muslim. Now it's a torture place for Christian Coptic. And the story will continue. And the sad thing, Brother Vic, there's not too many radio stations like yours who carry this news out. There's not any hardly TV station in America will carry this news out. So the media is doing everything they can in America to silence this news. They don't want anybody to know anything about it. But I thank God for VCY. And that's why we need VCY to continue to grow. I hope and I pray that they will come. We'll have a VCY station in every state in the United States of America.
Well, you know, I want to say a word of thanks to the 95 radio stations that you're talking over today, because the managers of each of these stations believes equally how important that this information is and that people need to know about it. We've heard those verses, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. But folks, if we are not aware of what's going on in Ezekiel, when you think of all of the things that are happening, was it Ezekiel chapter 33? Talks about the watchman on the wall.
I believe so.
And if the watchman doesn't warn the people and the enemy comes, the blood will be upon
his
hands. But if he warns the people and they ignore it, then their blood is on their own head.
And I think also many of these stations carry my program, which come at 12:30 Eastern Time, or Central Time. And I pray that the rest of the station will be bold enough, strong in the Lord to carry our teaching, because that is what is missing in America. And that's what's missing in Canada. That's what's missing everywhere else in the West.
Usama, we have seen over the past several years bizarre things happening. Somebody named a teddy bear Muhammad, and there was blood in the streets.
That's in Sudan. Obviously, this British teacher, I believe, was there, and she did not name the teddy bear Muhammad. The little boy named it Muhammad, and she didn't argue with him about it. It's just, Brother Vic, any excuse is a good excuse to kill a Christian or to persecute a Christian or any non-Muslim. So it doesn't matter.
Well, you know, your ministry, and obviously God gave you the challenge to do something that literally made the Quran understood by thousands of people. Now, the Quran, and we were talking just before we went on the air, many people think that many Muslims know all about the Quran, know it from cover to cover. The Hadith, which also is Muhammad's words. Mm-hmm. And they claim, if you're Islamic, you must know this stuff. Mm-hmm. But how many people are there that literally they claim to be Islamic but don't know a thing about the Quran or the Hadith?
Well, 87% of Muslims worldwide today do not speak the Arabic language. From Muhammad days until today, the majority of Muslims do not speak Arabic. And if you go to Pakistan or Afghanistan or Iran, you think about Iran as a hot spot now. There are millions of Iranians. They're willing to die to get rid of Israel and America. These Muslims of Iran, they're Muslim without Islam, as good as the Muslim of Indonesia, the largest Muslim country in the world. 210 million, I believe, live in Indonesia, believe in Islam. These people have never read the Quran. And sometimes I said, well, thank God that these people have not read the Quran, because if they have read the Quran, it's going to be even worse. They're practicing the teaching of the Quran because they take the words of the Imam as to be truthful. Can you imagine if all Muslims in the world come to read the Quran and understand that the hate which is all over the pages of the Quran, as they read Allah in the Quran 79 times, Muhammad and Allah provoke the Muslim to engage in war, or 31:1 to perform jihad. These verses literally incite the Muslim to do the things we hear about here in the West. And but sadly, many Muslims, I can go for 90%, not just 87%, because 13% are Arab, but half of them cannot read and write Arabic. So you go for 90-some% of Muslims that are Muslim without Islam. And that's why I believe it's very important for us to teach these people about Islam from the Christian perspective. And that's how we can remove them from the cult of Islam.
Usama, you have mentioned this issue of political correctness. We're going to talk about that when we come back. How that churches have become politically correct and don't want to hear what you've got to say.
Absolutely.
We'll be right back.
Back to Genesis with Dr. John Morris, president of the Institute for Creation Research. Dr. Morris, can you tell us what happened at the Tower of Babel?
Chris, I think the Tower of Babel was a very significant event in world history. At the time of the flood, the whole world was judged because of man's sin. But soon after the flood, they gathered again in rebellion against God. Well, God interrupted their rebellious efforts and forced them to scatter abroad on the face of the earth. Language groups migrated to different environments and developed different cultures and acquired different traits and customs. In Genesis, we're given a listing of the groups that went out. Archaeologists and anthropologists have verified the general truth of this migration account away from Babel. Without understanding creation, the fall, the flood, or Babel, we'll never understand what we see around us. Chris, let's go back to Genesis and get it right.
To discover more facts that support your faith, visit us on the web at www.icr.org. That's www.icr.org.
And welcome back to Crosstalk, where today we're talking with Usama Dakdok, our special guest here today and tomorrow, right here in the studio. It's our privilege as a radio network to also provide his program daily, every day at 12:30 noon, as he brings forth vital truths that people need to be aware of because of the strong influence of Islam even in our country today. But we're talking about the church, and I mean this in the highly respectful sense. I love the church. I believe that God's church is the prime institution that ought to be reaching out. But what's happening is that to be politically correct, the whole idea of speaking out by the secular or the lefties or the liberals, if you say anything about Islam, the first thing you or the Southern Poverty Law Center or others will say, you're circulating hate speech.
Brother Vic, there's not one time in all my last 11 years traveling, speaking about Islam in our churches, when Muslims show up, the first statement come out of their lips when I open the floor for question answering. They say, you teach hate. And I say to them, praise God, thank you, Jesus, that you can realize and understand that what I was teaching, it was hate. But here's the truth. I was reading your books. That is the words of Allah in the Quran, the words of Muhammad in the Hadith, the interpretation of the Quran by Muslim scholars. It is hate. But the sad thing is we go to the church and we have two problems. The conservative churches are kind of getting worried with this political correctness. They're afraid to have me. And the liberal churches are bringing Muslim to teach what I call baloney Islam. We love each other. Let's all hold hands. We sing this, the song, the Kumbaya song, whatever you want to call it. And it's a problem. We in America are losing our freedom. We're losing our life. We're losing our existence because of political correctness. And we have to get rid of this. We have to.
You know, Saturday night out at the Corn Palace after the rally was over, I had several businessmen come up to me and said, we have got to get this message out across South Dakota because there's so many people that are not informed, do not understand. And may I just say, while we're talking about the rally coming up Saturday night here, that those within our listening audience that want to tune in by internet can listen anywhere in the world by just simply going to VCYAmerica.org and click on Listen Live. And at 7 p.m. Central Time here in the United States, that is when the rally will begin. Now, this is going to be a longer rally with much and a PowerPoint presentation which shows you video clips and actual verification of what Usama is going to be saying. And so, but as people all across the country, we find that there are people listening to our programs now in 44 countries and 40 states. And we're thankful for this. Sure. And many of you listening today have friends who should be listening to what Usama has to say.
You know, Brother Vic, the question which have been asked lately, at least for the last couple of years now, so what? What is next? How can we fix this problem? It all go back to knowledge. We are not in war to be won with bullets. We're not in war to be won with any mean but education. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. And all what I'm asking people, when you watch, if you watch this broadcast live, 7 o'clock, after you finish it, you need to share it with one more person. Send people to our websites. Let people know. Because the more American knows the truth about Islam, the end of Islam is going to be. And that's the truth. The only way is information, and we're in war about knowledge.
And this program will also be posted on Vimeo and YouTube. So keep this in mind, folks, because the video portion will be there as well as the audio portion on the air and on the web. Now, tell us about, now you felt a desire in your heart to, first of all, clarify the mystery about the Quran, because nobody could understand it. Most of them, the people you're talking about, couldn't even read Arabic.
Well, that's why we have decided to translate the Quran to a true, accurate English translation. I looked at maybe a good 8 or 9 translations before we did ours. And I thought, literally, what I was doing is I was planning to write my new book, The Exposing the Truth About the Quran. And in this new book, I was exposing the lies and the terrible things about Islam. So we got this English translation and we read each one of them. And every error I'm trying to aim to, I found it's already fixed. They cleaned them up. So they sugared down the Quran, they watered it down. And I said, well, we have to translate the Quran because the one we have was not accurate. It's lawful in Islam to lie. especially to your enemy. And America is the enemy of Islam. That's why they lie in their translation. So we translated to put an accurate English translation for American to know what really Allah said.
And let me pick up on that again. You're saying that Islam teaches that it is lawful, it is perfectly legal to lie as long as you're furthering the progress of Islam.
Absolutely. Muhammad have one strong hadith, Musnad Ahmad. All Muslims know it. And when you say it to them, they have nothing but to smile because of embarrassment. When Muhammad said it is lawful for a man to lie in 3 cases. To his wife, that she will be pleased with him. To his enemy, because war is deception, especially in time of war. And to his friends, to make friendship between them, to make peace between them. That means you lie to you. The closest to your heart is your wife, family, relatives, to your enemies, and to your friends. I think, Brother Vic, that covers them all. I mean, who else can you lie to? Lies is the teaching of Islam. Muslims are allowed in the Quran to deny their faith, to say they're Christian or to say they're not Muslim. They are even allowed to lie under oath. Imagine when you go and take a man to a court and he raises up his right hand to say the truth, nothing but the truth, and Allah gives him the permission to lie. And that is unbelievable.
Usama, I want to look at some of the points of this translated Quran. Mm-hmm. Number one, it's accurate English translation. The literal, what you see in Arabic, it's there in English.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Also, number two, it has study notes for the reader, so that if you're reading it, it can explain some of these things.
Absolutely, because without this bold statement, which I put before many of the paragraphs, you do not know what Muhammad is talking about. A good example of that, Quran chapter 66, verse 1. And I have asked hundreds of people to read the verse. And I said, do you know what Muhammad is talking about? The answer, they have no clue. It was about Muhammad committing adultery with Mary, the Coptic woman. And Allah is correcting him, asking him, why you forbid what I made lawful to you? It is lawful for you to have sexual relationship, to have an adultery relationship with any woman you choose to. So this bold statement will help the reader to understand what the passage is talking about.
It also sets aside the errors and contradictions.
Well, it's the Quran is full of errors. The Quran is full of contradiction. And if you don't have this bold statement, so I can walk you through the Quran from one passage to another, then I show you. Watch, this statement here coming down here is contradicted in this other chapter, which is maybe 40 pages later or maybe 200 pages later. So you go back and forth in the Quran, you see the contradiction and the errors.
One of the other things I see that you've done here among the 8 different features of this Quran is that you compare the biblical accounts. Because as I've heard you present this, and you read the account from the Bible, and then you read the account from the Quran, some of it's absolutely unbelievable how off the rails it is.
Well, because that's where Muhammad come up with his information. The Quran is nothing, and you see this clearly in our new book, Exposing the Truth About the Quran, The Revelation of Error. Because what Muhammad was doing is counterfeiting the Bible, and that's literally, I call it a dumb counterfeit. It's not a very smart counterfeit.
There are 5, or number 5, it talks about the points to original sources. Well, that's what this actually goes right back to the original document.
Well, Muslims do not know that all the Quran and what's written in it come from the Bible or some other books which was not even a biblical books. Muhammad heard the story, he liked it. A good example, chapter 18, this young man who slept for 309 years. It's a story written in Egypt like in the 6th century, 5th century, 6th century. And Muhammad, just a few hundred years before Muhammad, and he saw it, it's a biblical story. So he copied and he put on the Quran, not knowing. It's just a made-up story, like you say to your children before bedtime.
One of the things you also highlight, the non-Arabic words and the idioms in the Quran. Now, when we say non-Arabic words, and just before we hit the air here today, you indicated that there are a lot of gibberish that's out there that isn't Arabic.
Well, that's what I love, Brother Vic, when people, they jump on me that I'm not qualified to translate the Quran because I don't know classic Arabic. I said, no. I know every word in the Quran, including the 279 words in the Quran who are not Arabic. They're Greek, they're Hebrew, they're Coptic, they're Syriac, literally different language in the Quran. Muslims think, as Allah claims in the Quran, it's pure Arabic, but it is not. All these words, we have them set in the back of the Quran in a section where in it we show, here is the word, here is what it means in its original language, and here is the English for it.
We're going to open our phone lines because I know that there are a lot of people who have questions. We're coming up on the halfway point in the program, but I'm going to open the lines by pressing this button right now. And all of the lines are now open at 800-733-9829. 800-733-9829. Many of you will have questions about Islam. Maybe you have found that Islamics are getting into the public school. I know one particular school where an Islamic mother came in to explain to the students how to treat her son because he was Islamic, and she brought the Quran, spent a whole hour explaining what Muslims believe. Usama, if you brought a Christian kid to school and say, too many kids are being beat up or whatever, and I want to share with you what Christians believe, what do the ACLU do?
I think they're going to ask you to leave with your children. Yeah. But if a Muslim came to our public school or whatever, by the way, Brother Vic, I noticed this happening all over the country. Muslim takes their children to Catholic school on purpose, because then they can go twice a week, 3 times a week for an hour to teach their children about Islam. And that opens the floor for them to have a mosque inside the Catholic school. And also they invite other students and other people to come and listen about the teaching of the Quran. And they obviously pick up some of the soft area of the Quran to teach in Catholic schools all over this country. It's not just the government public school. It's almost every school they can put their foot in.
It wasn't too many months back that I remember hearing a news clip that came across. We're in the city of Minneapolis, Minnesota, at the big airport. Mm-hmm. They had a big deal where the Islamic community had come demanding that there be foot washing fountains be placed in the men's restroom so that they could wash their feet before engaging in prayer at the expense of the city. They were asking for this to be done. Is this happening elsewhere?
Absolutely. It actually was a big movement a good 6 years ago, 7 years ago, all over our airports. And we actually have in St. Louis airport, I know this for sure, they have done this to appease and please Muslim drivers, which many of them were illegal drivers. They're not even, have no right to work in America. Boy. And Brother Vic, if we know what Muslims say in their prayer, if we have read the Quran chapter 1, I promise you, if American people realize what Allah taught the Muslim in the Quran, these mosques, not just the wash place in the public places, every mosque in America should be closed, because it is illegal to have a mosque in America. If we know what they pray and what they say in their teaching, what they believe in their doctrine towards freedom of religion.
Usama, you told me last week that if you were to go on a trip to Egypt, you would apply for a visa, correct? That's what you'd have to do in order to get in there?
No, actually, because I'm an Egyptian, I do not have it, but I will not be able to make it outside the airport in Egypt.
Why do you feel that?
Because the Egyptian have me on their blacklist as the extremist, radical, whatever you want to call it. Like, we try to capture some of the Muslim jihadists. They do not like somebody like me, sadly.
Well, folks, we're going to go to the phones right now because we got calls coming in, Mobile, Alabama, Wisconsin, and others. And please feel free to call in. The incursion, if you please, is happening all over the country. Islam is taking prominent seats in government. Good grief, there was a list of Islamics that President Barack Obama has put in place in areas you can't believe. The CIA being headed by an individual who is very sympathetic, if not already part of the Islam community. We'll be right back. This is Crosstalk.
It only takes a quick look around to see that the world is a mess. There is something very sinister happening behind the scenes in the areas of money, politics, and religion in our country today. What's worse, we are not being fully informed by Wall Street or government officials, and most of the media is only repeating what the politicians and bankers tell them. In the book A Nation in Crisis, authors Larry Bates and Chuck Bates, news executives with IRN USA News, unravel the confusion and unmask the mystery surrounding the institutions controlling our money, our government, and our religions. They also give their thoughts on how one should respond to the demise of the U.S. dollar, declining morality, the muzzling of faith, and the chaos of the culture. The hard-covered book, A Nation in Crisis, is available for a donation of $20 to VCY America, which can be made by calling 1-800-729-9829. Ask for the book, A Nation in Crisis. Again, the number toll-free, 1-800-729-9829.
It's time to present your questions on Islam today. Maybe you have some comments about it's suddenly showing up in your neighborhood and things that are happening that are of concern. I think of the city of Brookfield, and there's a lot of discussion going on regarding a proposed mosque there as well. I think of other cities where mosques are certainly focused in on the public issues. But right now we're going to go to the phones. We're going to go to Germantown and talk with Lynn. And Lynn, you are on the air with Usama Dakdok.
Hello. I appreciate this time to talk with Usama. I just am wondering, I heard him say that it's okay to lie, and he gave the reason the different people that can be lied to.
No, he didn't say it was okay. He said Islam says it's okay.
Yes, Islam says it's okay.
Yeah.
He said they said it was okay. That's correct. I'm just wondering if it explains to some degree why our president is lying to everybody about everything and seeming to get away with it, because he just is, in my estimation, more of a Muslim than he is anything else, and I'm wondering if he's justifying all of his lying by virtue of the fact that Allah says it's okay.
You are 100% correct, my dear sister. Well, it's good to have you on our program here, but the problem is, if we are aware of the truth about Barack Hussein Obama, who he is, what he believes, what he stands, what is he doing around the world, not just in America, around the world, you will realize that is the practice of deception, the practice of Islam. And every decision he have made so far in the last 4+ years, he have proven to me 100% he is a true practice of this cult of Islam. And you just think of my home country, Egypt. This is a country which used to be in our side. Now it is on the other side with its leadership there. And sadly, Barack Hussein Obama is empowering them with every weapon they need. Literally, we're sending to them more weapons than any other aid. I do not know why we're doing that. But if you watch what this president is doing, you will realize he is one of them.
Thank you, Lynn. Appreciate your call from Germantown. We're going to go to Mobile, Alabama, and talk with Aaron. And Aaron, you are on the air. Hello, Aaron.
Hey, how you doing, man?
Fine, sir. You're on the air.
Okay, yeah, my question was, man, I was in the military, and I took a class on kind of like Muslim studies before we got sent overseas, and they were stating that the Quran was older than the Bible. Then it's saying that the Quran is based off the Bible, and I was trying to see where that actually came from. I don't know if it was a false teaching that I received or...
Well, brother, if you read the Quran, or you know the history about the Quran, is written roughly 623 after Christ. So the Quran is not older than the Bible. The Quran obviously came hundreds of years later. And if you read the Quran and you read my new book exposing the truth about the Quran, you realize, yes, the Quran talk about creation. Yes, the Quran talk about Adam and Eve. Yes, the Quran talk about Noah, Abraham, Moses. But none of these stories is even close to the true account of the Bible. They're all a false counterfeit, a dumb counterfeit. Yes, so I know Muslims believe about creation, but is it 6 days or 8 days? And what was created first, heaven or the earth? And do we really have 7 earths? See, when Allah talk about creation in the Quran, that does not mean he's telling about the true creation of the Bible. Literally, Allah, which is the God of Muhammad, I believe to be Satan, the best deceiver, is deceiving his own people, those who believe in Islam, by making it sound like it is like the Bible, because it talk about the same names of the Bible. But I challenge any Muslim to show us one story in the Quran is even close to what is written in the Bible. Every story Muhammad put in the Quran is nothing but a counterfeit, a foolish counterfeit to the Bible. And the evidence is very simple. Read the Quran and compare it to the Bible.
We're going to go to, let's see.
One more question, man.
Okay, go ahead. What's that other question?
See, in your opinion, the Bible, I'm a Christian myself, and the Bible to me is based on love. I mean, love is more important than anything. Does the Quran seem like it's more based on hate? I mean, like you say, as the exact opposite?
Absolutely. You cannot find in the Quran one verse teach love or peace, but there are over 350 verses teach hate. And Muslims say, they will tell you, Allah love. Yes, indeed. Go read Quran chapter 6:1. Allah loves those who fight in battle for his cause. Allah love Usama bin Laden. Allah love Muhammad Atta. Allah love every Muslim jihadist. That is not the love of the Bible. And the God of the Bible is not the small g God of Muhammad, Allah, who is Satan.
We're going to go right now to Fred, who's in Wisconsin. And Fred, you are on the air with Usama Dakdok.
Yes, I wanted to ask if he was familiar with Obama's declaration to the Egyptian media in Cairo at the university that his bloodline goes back to the pharaohs of Egypt through Nefertari or Nefertiti, one of those two maybe?
Well, Obama have a white mother and an Arab daddy. And by the way, when we say Arab daddy, we mean Arab daddy. No Muslim of Kenya do not call themselves Kenyans, they call themselves Arab. And I do not know how in the world the American people are missing this fact. You cannot be an African American if you have a white mama and an Arab daddy. That is like having a father from France and a mother from England and calls the children Spanish. That does not work this way. He have no tie to Nefertiti or Cleopatra or anybody of my people because he's not Coptic. And obviously, Muslim will try to say anything to anyone to please everybody, but it does not work this way. Fact is facts.
Okay, thank you, Fred. We're going to move right along to Marshfield, Wisconsin, and talk with Mike. Mike, you're on the air.
Thanks for taking my call. Thanks, Usama,
Thanks, brother. Good to have you.
for everything you do, everything you say. We even have a mosque up here at a town of 20,000 people, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And I just would like you to clarify something. I think people need to hear this. Would they even be teaching the hostile principles of Islam, the ungodly principles of Islam, even up here, to these people in this town of 20,000 people? I think this imam up here has even been asked to be part of the pastoral council up here.
Well, brother, if you look at the history of the mosque in America under George W. Bush, we have approved with videos, with writing, with all the evidence you need, that 80% of the mosques in America were ruled or run by some radical, I call them Muslim believers, you call them here radical or jihadists, whatever name you want to give to them. And sadly, Bush did not close these mosques, but all what he did is he changed the imams from Imam Ahmad to Imam Muhammad to Imam Ali. If we understand what Muslims really believe, they're getting smart now. They will not allow the camera in, they will not allow the recording in. But if we understand what the Quran teach about freedom of religion and what Muslims really believe about freedom of religion, which we will be covering in our broadcast on Saturday night, and I hope and I pray you listen in or you come in, that you will find that it is illegal for Muslims to build a mosque in America. As a matter of fact, in Holy Land Foundation trial, we have enough evidence, their own writing, that they said they will be using the mosque to launch attack in the future to practice jihad on American, here in America.
Okay, we're going to move right along here to Mike, who's also in Wisconsin, and some of the other states want to get online there. Make it quick because we got a lot of people calling in with questions today. And right to the point, Mike in Wisconsin, you are on the air with Usama.
Yeah, God bless you both. And Usama, I love listening to you on the radio every single day.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate you.
And I had planned to get there on Saturday, and another engagement came up I'm not going to be able to get to. But I was just wondering if you could possibly leave some of your Quran books with VCY that we can buy them through the VCY bookstore or something. I'm just sorry that I can't make it.
Let me just say this, my friend, that I believe he has a website. You can get that directly through that, Usama.
TheStraightWay.org, TheStraightWay.org, or you can go to Amazon and you can get even the new book is available now.
Oh, very good. Well, God bless you both, and I sure appreciate your preaching. It's just a blessing to us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mike. Appreciate that. Moving right along, Rice Lake, Wisconsin, and Daniel. You are on the air, Daniel. Go ahead.
Hello. Since you disclosed the truth about Islam, do you fear for your life that some Muslim will seek to stop you from revealing the truth about Muhammad and Allah?
Well, brother, thank you for your concern. Your prayer is always requested. We do not fear those who kill the flesh, but we fear God Almighty who can destroy the flesh and the spirit also. And believe it or not, even if they took me out, my flesh, the message is already recorded. We have over 350 programs here on VCY, hundreds of videos all over the YouTube. I think it's too late to silence the truth about our ministry.
Amen. Okay, we're going to go right now from Rice Lake. We're going to go to Brookfield, Wisconsin. And Nancy Jo, you're on the air.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. I will be there on Saturday. I live here in Brookfield area and Wisconsin, and we have a mosque going up in my neighborhood, and I've protested it. I've written letters to the editor of our paper, and I've notified them about Walid Shubat. He came, and also, too, now I've written them personal invitations Usama, for your presentation on Saturday night. They have all declined. None of them can come, the ones that did respond, which weren't very many. But I'm going to provide them each with the DVD of your presentation. Mm-hmm. And I know that there are some that are very antsy about this, are very uneasy, but the PC, politically correctness, won't let them, say the truth. So I'm excited because thank you for your, presence. And I'm just waiting to, get your thing and then to be able to let them know all of it. We've given the Qurans and all kind of stuff, but they're still, pretty stubborn about wanting this thing to go in. So,
my dear sister, I believe if we can get the leaders of this country, those who are in charge or who allow these mosques to be built, to see the end of the story, what is going to happen in America 30, 50 years from now? What Muslim will be doing or will be practicing inside this mosque? If the American people realize the end of the story, they will stop it right now. So you're doing a great job. Thank you so much.
Yep, thank you.
Let's go to Victoria, Texas, and talk with Jacob. Jacob, you're on the air with Usama Dakdok.
Yeah, hello. I wanted to say, you've heard this story before, Vic. I've called in and told about this. A friend of mine, his father was a police captain down in Corpus Christi, and this guy that's opening up that mega mosque over in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, he used to live down there. He had said, look, my mosque got all shot up. So the police came down, and there was a real close friendship made between my friend's dad and this guy, Usama Bahul is his name. Anyway, my friend, I was trying to, kind of teach him about the Bible and stuff. I was trying to call in real desperately last week, talk to Waleed Shubat about false teaching. Because anything I can talk you into, somebody else can talk you out of, right? So anyway, he told this guy, he went up to this guy and he said, look, if you do this jihad stuff, then Satan wins. And it was just amazing to me that this guy that was a friend of mine, he's now into Chrislam. A friend of mine went on his Facebook page, and he had great things about Jesus on there, and he wanted 100 comments talking about how Allah is great. And I just, the deceptions. He knew what was going on, and he still went for this anyway. And they go to the mosque on Friday, and they go to their church on Sunday, and it's just insane to me.
Yeah. Well, I believe that's because he does not know what the Bible teach or nor what the Quran teach. Because Allah cannot be great if Allah said in the Quran, they deceive and Allah deceive, and Allah is the best deceiver. Or even chapter 1, verse 1 in the Quran, when Muslims pray, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, praise be to Allah, the Lord of the world. Allah is the God of the world, the Lord of the world. Allah is Satan. How can Allah be God? How can Allah be great?
Okay, we're going to go from Texas. We're going to go to On the Road in Wisconsin. And Ty, you're on the air. Hello, Ty.
Oh, yes. Sorry. I really appreciate his show. And my question is, do you believe that...
Hold on with us. We got a theme coming up right now. If you'll hang on with us, Ty, and we'll be right back with you and take it right on the other side of the break.
For the Worldview Weekend Minute, I'm Brandon House. Our website's worldviewweekend.com. We're continuing our series on money and a biblical worldview. 20 points or characteristics that will help us to have a biblical worldview for money. Number 6, those that love money will not find satisfaction. Ecclesiastes chapter 5, verses 10 through 11 says, those who love silver will not be satisfied with silver. No, it's not speaking against silver or money or having a savings account. It's just saying it's those who love it. In our last commentary, we looked at 1 Timothy chapter 6, verse 10, that the love of money is the root of all evil. Well, at this point, number 6, those that love money, well, they won't be satisfied with money. They won't be satisfied with silver. In fact, some of the most miserable people you probably know or have heard about are people that are rich. It doesn't, in the end, bring them joy, does it? The true joy comes from a relationship with Jesus Christ through faith and repentance. So let's have a biblical worldview when it comes to money and realize that's not where our joy or hope comes from.
And welcome back to Crosstalk as we are coming down the home stretch here in the last segment. And we're going back to Ty, who's on the road, and I think we got a better connection here. So, Ty, you're on the air here with Usama Dakdok.
Yes, Usama, I so much appreciate your show, and I had a question because I noticed you mentioned, and I agree, that Islam is the religion of Satan, and you mentioned about the mosque being in the Catholic Church. Do you think that the Islam and the Catholicism will merge to become that one world religion?
Well, brother, and when you look at the doctrine of faith of Islam, of the Catholic, you get shocked. I got two pieces of information here. First one, all Muslim, all those who believe in the Abrahamic religion, that's what it's written in the Catholic Church. Those Muslim, when they die, they make it to heaven. But in the same book of doctrine of faith of the Catholic Church, non-Catholic, that's any person who is a Christian but not Catholic, will not make it to heaven. I see the last two Pope kissed the Quran, bowed down towards Mecca. have not seen anything yet of the new Pope right now, but Catholic Church all over America for the last 11 years refused to have me, and I still extend my hand begging them to have me to speak to their people about the truth about Islam. But at the same time, the same Catholic Church who refused to have me are opening their church buildings or their whatever rooms they use for Muslims to speak the propaganda Islam, the baloney Islam, or the hogwash Islam. So you add all this together and you come up to the conclusion. Just connect the dots.
Thank you very much, Ty. Appreciate that call. And we're moving right along. Viroqua, Wisconsin, and Jim, you're on the air. Jim?
Yes. Yes, I want to ask your guest, do you see a correlation between Islam and Freemasonry and Mormonism? And specifically, can you address the Shriners and the hats that they wear called fezzes?
Well, brother, as I met with the first one of this group, the Shrines, what you call about, and I looked at some of their material, and I see some Islamic prayers there. I see the statement, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, in the name of Allah, the merciful, written there. And that is a statement only can be found in the Quran. Somehow, Satan is smart. He knows how to mix all this cult together just for one purpose, is to make Christian look bad or to make Christian look off. Do you know that in this big movement, which is all people get together and have this meeting, what you call Chrislam, or I can't remember the other word in my head right now, where all the different cults come together and have this meetings. Everybody in these meetings are welcome. The interfaith meeting, that's what the word I'm trying to come up with. In the interfaith meeting, everybody is welcome, except born-again Christians. It's unbelievable. I attend the one in Orlando area, and they literally welcome everybody, except when I start to speak, they stop me because I'm not welcome. So Satan, it doesn't matter. You can die as a Baptist by name, Catholic who do not know Christ, Muslim, Buddhist, any other cult. Without Christ, you die and you burn in hell forever. And that is the victory of Satan. He does not mind to have another 50 different groups getting together. So this movement is nothing but work of Satan, obviously.
Got about a minute left from Mike in Milwaukee, and you're our last call, Mike. Go ahead.
Thanks for taking my call. In the Muslim theological school, Al-Azhar in Egypt, there was a person named Sheikh Kamal Mansur, and then he became converted to Christ and became a preacher in Egypt. But it was his brother that converted first, and then he was arrested for attacking the Christian church, and him and his friends wanted to go to the point to kill his brother. So it was the love and forgiveness of his brother that led him to Christ, and then he ended up preaching in the same church that he attacked. And he said, I was reminded that the pulpit from which I was preaching the gospel was the very one I had helped to destroy. And then he goes on and talks about Paul's love for the Jews and his desire, and then it says Satan's great deception for us as Christians is as we fight and hate the false teachings of Islam and we fight them with spiritual weapons, Satan may tempt us to hate also the people who hold these doctrines and who dishonor our Lord Jesus. We may desire so much to see them defeated in an argument that we are tempted to put more importance on the triumph from truth than on the salvation of sinners. As the representatives of Him, Jesus Christ, who prayed for His murderers, we, while hating all heresy, must, in obedience to our Master, the Lord Jesus Christ.
Amen.
Love these opponents of the gospel, the love of Christ when he added the cross, and the love not only for friends but for our enemies. Thank you. God bless you both.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Mike kind of put the cap on that, didn't he?
Well, yes, indeed. Brother Mike, we cannot hate Muslims. We must hate Islam, the cult, because Muslims are nothing but victim of the cult of Islam. If you think of the 19 hijacker 11 years ago, they're all young men who die for a foolish belief, for a lie. And we must love sinners and hate sin. Otherwise, we must hate ourselves because we are nothing but sinners who are saved by God's grace.
Usama, you've got a website.
TheStraightWay.org, TheStraightWay.org.
And there you can find more information, get on your mailing list there.
Absolutely.
Also, that is where they can go and get copies of this translated Quran.
Or our new book, Exposing the Truth About the Quran, or plenty of videos. We have lots of videos, and they can just watch good maybe 10 hours worth of video are available there for free.
Now, on the VCY network, this same program, today's program, will be aired tonight at 8 o'clock on the radio. And so if you're within, or if you want to go to VCYAmerica.org, you can tune in there by going on the web. But I want to say how grateful we are for the 2 days that you're spending with us, Usama.
Sure, brother.
And be in prayer, folks, for Usama, his dear wife, and his son as they travel across the country. And may I say, if you're concerned about your area, where can they get in touch with you about bringing you in to speak in their community?
It's very simple. If they go on our website, you see my wife's number, 941-223-1703. If they call, we are one call away. We will be there in their church, in their areas.
TheStraightWay.org. TheStraightWay.org. We'd like to thank you for joining us today. And folks in this area, don't miss the rally Saturday night. It's at the Waukesha Expo. The doors open at 6 p.m. and the rally starts at 7. This will be extended slightly because this PowerPoint presentation has so much material that you won't want to miss it. When you come to the last segment, you had me captivated there in South Dakota when I saw it.
That's, Brother Vic, it is the end of the story. If people know the end of the story, they will listen carefully and they will do everything to stop the result.
Come and be there. There's no admission charge. There will be a free will offering to help cover the cost of the auditorium and to provide for our guest. But I want to thank you for joining us today, and be with us tomorrow, same time. We're going to pick up where we left off here. Dealing with the Dangers of Islam, Part 1. Tomorrow is Part 2. Thanks for joining us on Crosstalk.
Listening to Crosstalk via satellite and the internet from VCY America. Views expressed may or may not be those of this station. For a CD of today's program, send a donation of $6 or more to VCY Tape Ministry, 3434 West Kilbourne Avenue, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 53208, or download by RSS or podcast from crosstalkamerica.com. And join us again for Crosstalk.